This is David Beers and Gordon, speaking a little bit about the team that we put together, Jim and my partner, Jim Gordon, and I, with regard to handling your personal injury case. Many people ask, well, what are the duties of the attorney? Why do you have paralegals? What do they do? And what about legal assistance? In our firm, we have an experienced team of paralegals. What we do is we separate these individuals by whether the case is in suit or not in suit. So in the pre-suit stage, initially you're going to meet with either Jim or myself. If we need investigators or outside people to assist to prepare your case or to preserve evidence, that will be taken care of. But once the case is moving in a certain direction, the case managers will be assigned to your case, and they'll communicate with you largely by email, but also by phone, and they'll direct you to speak with us when you need to.
And that's a little bit of a difference, I think, than a lot of firms, is we're involved. We have legal assistants, we call them now case managers, and they're handling the case. What their job duty really is to handle the case pre-suit, before a lawsuit's ever filed. They're going to be your main contact along with us, and we're going to be involved in the case from start to finish as well. But that's a little bit different than the paralegals. For example, we have a paralegal right now. She handles just cases in litigation and a few other cases that we kind of anticipate that are going to go into litigation. We know from the start that this case is going to be one that's going to end up in a lawsuit. For whatever reason, she'll start that process. But she's been doing it, I think, 20 some years. She probably wouldn't like us saying that, I guess. But she's been doing it a long time. But that's important because she did defense work and did all kinds of other work for about 18 years before she came to work for us. What happens is when the case goes into litigation, it gets turned over to Kelly, who's our paralegal currently. And she's going to be communicating with you about any of the issues in the case and then coming to us about various things, which is a little bit different. It's just going to switch from one person to the other. That's the biggest difference, is we separate it between litigated people and non-litigated cases, pre-suit cases. But it's not like if you call our office, Kelly can answer a question even if it's not her case.
Exactly. The case managers are going to be more intimately involved in communicating with the clients right at the outset of a case. But once it does start to develop and the medical treatment is taking place, not only is the attorney that's handling the case between Jim and myself reviewing the case, and Jim reviews cases that I'm handling and vice versa to make sure there's nothing we're missing about representing the client. The
difference between like a paralegal and a legal assistant, or even some firms call them case managers, is that legal assistant may have a lot of experience, and we have people that have 15, 17 years experience doing various things in law firms, but they're not a registered paralegal. It doesn't mean in reality that they can't handle a lot of the same stuff a paralegal could.
Correct.
And that's the type of people we try to hire. Even we have younger people, because we do like to have some young people that can communicate with our clients and that we can train from the start to finish. But we like to have, within the legal assistant area, the case managers, we always like to kind of have a senior person, even when we hire someone coming in younger, because that senior person is able to train them. And to me, and I know to David as well, it's not just important training on, here's our computer system, here's our cases. It's training them on how we treat our clients and how we think of our clients. Because I know we've certainly interviewed people that we thought were great employees, or could be great employees, but they had a different approach, and they came from a firm that had a much different approach, and we just didn't think that might work with the way we approach cases. And we try to do the right thing for our client, where they were just trying to, how much can I turn it over and churn and burn this case? And we were telling them, well, that's not really what we do.
Right, exactly. And I think the legal assistant's job is really multifaceted. I mean, they're dealing directly with the clients. They're also dealing with the medical care providers. They have to interface with the attorneys. I mean, there are quite a few issues they have to take care of. And their job basically is to focus the best outcome we can get with a pre-suit settlement. Why would we have that asset? Why would we have that thought process if we are a trial firm, which we are? we're such a trial firm that we get referrals from other attorneys to try their cases. So why would we care about the pre-suit aspect of a case? Because it's consistent with our basic philosophy, which is what's the best outcome for this particular client for their case. It might be a pre-suit settlement. And to accomplish that goal, we have to have legal assistants that are also oriented towards what can we do to put the case in the hands of an insurance adjuster who just wants to give our client the most money.
Well, and the legal assistants, are also important. They help gather evidence and do various things that we're involved in too. But they're at this point, some of them have been doing it long enough that there's a strategy. They know if there's a cell phone, we need a cell phone. If there was a red light camera, ask for the red light camera. If it's a premise liability case, let's send a spoliation letter to say don't spoil the video if there's video. There's ways that these people that have been doing it a long time, which is great for us. They've hit that point where they've been doing it. They know the case comes in. This is the type of case it is. Before we even direct them, we usually direct them and they've said, I've already done it, which is great. And
right.
that process has already been started. And that's the point about not only having experience, at the case manager level, but it's experience above them. So if you hire someone young, they're getting trained and they're sitting with those people and they're able to ask questions. And it's important that they all get along because we have a small office.
Yes.
It's a small office. But it's also that they get along and they feel comfortable going to us and going to the other staff to say, how can you help me? They don't feel dumb asking that question because that benefits our clients when they're able to ask each other those questions. One of the differences here at Beers and Gordon is you're going to meet with us the first time. You're going to meet with the attorneys. You're going to meet with David or myself. And then we're going to start putting that team in place to handle your case from start to finish. We're going to have legal assistants involved. We're going to have case managers involved. If it's in litigation, it's going to be a paralegal involved. It's truly, we talk about this all the time, it's a team effort. It's not just David and myself, it's everyone here. It's the experience of everyone here looking at your case because those perspectives are great. We used to go to her current office manager. We used to ask her what she thought cases were worth because she had a different attitude. She came from a different area when we first hired her, that she had a different perspective than we did, which is important. But that's important because it gets the client the best results possible. And that's what we're trying to do at Beers and Gordon. We're not making you a number. We're not, assigning you to one person and no one's touching that case because all those different perspectives make for the best possible outcome. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree. Coming from a background and working again years ago in the insurance industry, we actually had a proprietary software program to put in information about cases and then punched a number that gave you a so-called risk neutral amount that you were supposed to make in an offer to settle a case. That's not Beers and Gordon. We're talking about an individual analysis and work to get the client the best outcome, not a one-size-fits-all computer-generated outcome.
It's like going to a store or a restaurant and you go in and you ask a question and that person can only ask that question. They refer you to the next person. They say, oh, I got it. You got to talk to this next person. Then you go to ask that question. I can't answer that question. That's the difference with the experience and the way we have it set up. Most of those people are going to be able to answer your question right away. And if they can't, they're going to go right to us and we're going to be able to answer it for you. And that's the big difference. When it's only one person handling your case and that's your case manager, they're not going to know everything about your case. They're not going to know everything that they need to know that we may know that they haven't thought about because we've been doing it so long. And that's why it's important to have that team approach. And that's why we approach every case. Every case is individual. You're an individual. Your case should be handled as an individual and it should be handled by a team. And that's what we do at Beers and Gordon. If you had an accident and you're looking for a true team to take care of you as an individual, call us at Beers and Gordon. That's 407-862-1825 or look us up at beersandgordonlaw.com.